I definitely ran my entire business based on my emotions, based on fear, and this created a lack of trust from my team in me as their leader. It also created not so great results for myself and for my business. I had a lot of high turnover, and I could definitely say that my lack of emotional regulation was one of the things that made me a really bad leader. Hello and welcome to the Elevate podcast. I'm your host, Patricia Nowakowski. I'm a salon owner, educator, mindset, and leadership coach that helps salon owners go from overwhelmed and burnt out to motivated and empowered. It is my mission to help you systemize your business, generate more profit, and create a career that you love. Join us every week to learn about the small shifts you can make to elevate your business regarding mindset, marketing, social media, business systems, and so much more. Welcome to this week's episode of the Elevate podcast. In today's episode, we're going to focus on another leadership trait that I think is so important in order to create and develop a successful business. We're going to help entrepreneurs and business owners develop the mindset and skills needed to succeed in business. We'll discuss the importance of emotional regulation, its consequences if missing in your business or in your leadership skills. And we're going to talk about how leaders can grow this skill to create success in their business. First, I would like to add, when I first opened my salon, emotional regulation was something that was missing from my leadership skills. I definitely ran my entire business based on my emotions, based on fear, and this created a lack of trust from my team in me as their leader. It also created not so great results for myself and for my business. I had a lot of high turnover, and I could definitely say that my lack of emotional regulation was one of the things that made me a really bad leader. Emotional regulation is the ability to manage and control your emotions in a healthy way, and it's essential for every business owner and leader to possess, because if, like me, you did not have emotional regulation, can cause all sorts of problems in your business. And emotions can be high in any business, but if you can regulate your emotions, it can create a positive work environment and a positive culture. I know I talk about culture so much on this podcast because it really is one of the things that's going to attract team members, and it's going to lead to success for you and for your business. If you don't have good emotional regulation skills, it can have negative consequences on your business. And I'm going to go over some of these negative consequences. And these are definitely from personal experience. So here we go. So one, not having a way to regulate your emotions can definitely lead to poor decision-making in your business. So when your emotions are running high, it can be challenging to make good business decisions, especially if you are stuck in a place of fear and you really don't know how to push forward. So emotions can cloud your judgment, leading to poor decision-making, and that will definitely impact your revenue, your growth, and your team. So when we talk about making decisions based on emotions, most of the time emotions are in the moments. And when we are making decisions based on emotions, we're not thinking long-term, we're only thinking short-term to subside the feelings that we're having, which most of the time in business can be negative feelings. So when we have emotional regulation, we can feel the feelings, work through the feelings, but then we can utilize logic to make decisions for long-lasting, successful decisions. Another thing that can happen with not having emotional regulation is a negative work environment, which is something that I definitely created when I first opened my salon. My team members never knew what they were going to get when I came into work. I wore my stress on my sleeve, and I definitely let that stress and those emotions dictate my behavior for the day. which led to a definite negative environment. And we have to remember that emotions are contagious and they can lead to your team picking up your energy and then also emulating the same thing that you are putting out, which leads to a not so great culture. If you've been feeling overwhelmed and overworked from owning your salon, you're not alone. If you're like many salon owners, you want to build a salon that makes you feel fulfilled and passionate while bringing freedom and flexibility to your life. You're exhausted from taking on all your business tasks alone, but it doesn't have to be this way. It's time for change. The Elevated Salon Owner Collective will help you do just that. You'll automate your salon, implement solid business systems, transform your salon culture, take charge of your online presence, and regain freedom. Doors officially open, and I'd love for you to experience freedom and fulfillment in your business. To learn more, visit opulentbeautypro.com/elevate or click the link in the show notes. So if you aren't able to regulate your emotions, you can create a toxic atmosphere in your workplace unintentionally. And this can lead to low morale and decreased productivity and, again, a high employee turnover. We know the cost of losing team members. It is detrimental to our business at times, especially if the employee is bringing in and generating a lot of revenue. So we really need to make sure that when we are creating our leadership and we're creating our culture, that we do it in an intentional way and that it's done with emotions taken out of the equation. Another place where this impacted my business is poor customer experience and relations. So not only can your emotions really dictate your employee experience, but they also can create a negative impact on the way clients experience your business. So anytime we would get a bad review or anytime someone would complain, I would let it hit me in a very personal manner, and then that would create an emotional response. And we cannot let emotions be the reaction to a client experience. So emotions can also impact how we interact with our customers. And if we aren't able to regulate our emotions, it can lead to poor customer service and customer turnover and a bad reputation. Trust me, you do not want a bad reputation for your business in your community because that spreads like wildfire. Positive customer experience, yes, that spreads, but have a negative experience in your business by a customer, and that definitely is something that is passed along twice as fast as the positive one. So it's essential for you to grow your emotional regulation skills to create success in your business. And this is where I really started to see my business flourish and grow. And this is where I truly started to attract team members to my business. So here are some things that you can do to start learning how to regulate your emotions as a leader. 1, recognize your triggers. So a good starting point is to identify the triggers that are creating negative emotions in your business. For example, for me, clients complaining. It definitely triggers me in a negative way. And unsatisfied customers, because I always have my team members back. And although sometimes people do have negative experiences in our business, which are sometimes created by the team member, sometimes people, again, don't have emotional regulation for themselves and they utilize that emotion to complain and kind of take it out on my team members. I know this is a trigger for me, but because I know this is a trigger, I do not handle unhappy clients inside of my business. So I have passed this off to my manager, and she is the one who takes care of the customer service experience on the negative side. She is the best person to handle this in my business, and she has the responsibility and the role of this because I know it is a trigger of mine. So if you know something is definitely going to trigger a negative response for you and you are unable to work on this, hand it off to somebody else, give somebody else the responsibility who can handle it. We have to remember that we aren't going to be perfect at everything, and there are some things that we just shouldn't be doing in our business that we do need to pass off to somebody else who can do a better job. So if you have situations that make you anxious, angry, frustrated, write it down. Make sure you're aware of it. And this can help you recognize when your emotions are starting to take over. And if it's something that you can't work on or something that continually triggers you, then it's time to pass it off to somebody else. Another thing is practice mindfulness. Mindfulness practice such as meditation, deep breathing. Some of y'all love to do yoga. That's really not my thing, but this can help us regulate our emotions and be more mindful. So being mindful is a way of being present in the moment, which can help you identify and manage your emotions. A lot of us get stuck in the future and get stuck in the past. We have a tendency to let things that have happened in the past trigger us emotionally in the present moment because we assume that things are going to be the same. Or we get stuck in the future and we assume that there are going to be certain outcomes that are going to happen when in reality we can't tell the future. But these fears trigger our emotions. And we need to remember to stay in the present moment and to stop telling stories to ourselves about situations that may or may not happen. Another thing is find support, find a mentor, find a coach. I started working with Destroy the Hairdresser, and anytime I felt frustrated or I felt my emotions rising, I would send my coach a message and he would help me bring light to why I was feeling a certain way or call me out for just being a crazy person. So sometimes we need that outside perspective to really bring reality in so we can make sure we are making a logical and the right decision. And running a business can be really lonely. It is lonely, so lonely. So when we have support, even if it's just befriending another salon owner or, connecting with other business owners in your area, it's nice to have a support system. So if it's a mentor, if it's a coach, a peer group, whatever that looks like for you, having someone to talk to and that can help you gain perspective and manage your emotions or bring clarity to a situation can definitely help you in the future and help you bring awareness and help you regulate your emotions. Last but not least, and this is something that I really struggled with, was finding work-life balance. Sometimes if we are overexerting ourselves, if we're overwhelmed, if we don't have balance, if we're putting out much more than what we're getting back, it can create stress, it can create anger, it can create frustration. So it's really essential to find balance between work and personal life. Taking time off from your business, especially as a salon owner, is imperative to really create emotional regulation in your life. You need to take time to recharge. You need to take time to manage your stress, and you need to take time to regulate your emotions. So creating balance, taking time off, knowing that you can't do it all, knowing that you're never going to do anything perfect, you can't be perfect, is a way to kind of start creating that balance in your mind and in your life. To wrap things up today, emotional regulation is definitely a crucial skill that every business owner should possess. And good emotional regulation skills can help lead to the success in your business. If you're missing this skill, it can have negative consequences like it did for me and it did for my business. So this is something that you should begin mastering today. This is something that you should master today. So remember to recognize your triggers, practice mindfulness, be in the present moment, find a support system, get a mentor or coach, and create that balance so you can really start getting a handle on all of the emotions that arise while running a business. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Elevate podcast. If you liked today's episode, this is exactly what we are focusing on in the Elevated Salon Owner Collective. We're going to deep dive into this topic this week and really help our salon owners work on their emotional regulation. And like I said, if you are in need of a support system, the Elevated Salon Owner Collective is a great way to connect with like-minded salon owners who are going through the same struggles you are and who love sharing ideas and creating a community to spark growth across the board for everyone's business. Thanks for tuning into the Elevate podcast. If you loved this episode, it would mean the world to me if you could leave a review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen. The Elevate podcast is hosted by me, Patricia Nowakowski, and produced by Opulent Beauty Pro. To receive my free business guides, visit opulentbeautypro.com/free or click the link in the show notes. You can find me on Instagram at opulentbeautypro or at Patricia_Nowakowski_OBS. If you love this show, please consider subscribing. See you next week.